Okay, hello, my name is Michael Sabella, and this is my video in regards to a workshop where we will be talking about building parent-teacher relationships. Now, uh, first of all, we did have a group which included me and three other individuals, but of course, with some issues, I will be presenting by myself for this final project. And the class is EDSL 3310-90L. Okay, first of all, the reason why we chose to create a workshop video in regards to this topic is because of our parent responses, in which we interviewed parents to how they felt about the school that we were studying, which in this case was Dr. Alejo Salinas Junior Elementary, located in Hidalgo, Texas. One of our main concerns, which we found out, was regards to parent involvement and the school involving the parents and notifying parents with things such as end of course exams or STAR testing that they weren't properly notified, as well as other events that they didn't feel included in. So just to show you just a brief questions that we asked them and their responses as well. How do you feel about your child's school? Do you like the dual language program? And is the school supportive and involved in your school, in your child's education? Now we have two different responses of two different parents. Just to read them out, just in case you can't see them on the screen. We have a very satisfied parent who thinks their child's school is very welcoming, it's very positive, where she responded with, "I'm very satisfied with the education that they are providing for my kids, as well as since we are a small population, which being Hidalgo, Texas, which it is a small city, I feel my children are getting a lot of support and attention." Now we did have two or three positive parent feedbacks. However, there were those two parents who felt like their school wasn't enough, that they could do better. There's room for improvement. One of the responses was, the school has a need for a lot of improvements. There's not enough access to technology, and the technology it does is very outdated. As well as, I don't feel at all involved in my child's education. In fact, I do not appreciate my child being administered exams without proper notice to ensure my child arrives on time and is well rested. Things come up, and to find out after the fact that my child took an exam and could have performed better had I been properly notified. These parents, we care about how they think of our school, how they think of our teachers, how they think of our faculty. So that's why this workshop is very important to our knowledge, and we learn something out of this, which will next be positive parent-school communication. Now, the manner in which schools communicate and interact with parents affects the extent and quality of parents' home involvement with their children's learning. When communicating with parents, consider your remarks in relation to the three categories that influence how parents' participation. And there's three points right here that are very positive, that bring a lot of information to us, which we're going to be going over in a while. It includes classroom learning activities, the child's accomplishments, and how the students can help, how the parents, can help at home with their child's learning. Now let me just get my note real quick, just so I can continue with the rest. I'm sorry. Okay, and we go on to effective communication strategies. Now, right here we have 5 bullet points, which I hope you were able to see when I was getting my notes. I'm going to be going over them one by one, which the first one would be, of course, that initiation. Teachers should initiate contact as soon as they know which students will be in the classroom for the student year. Contact can occur by means of an introductory phone call or letter to the home, introducing yourself to the parents and establishing expectations. Now, every new teacher has those anxious moments where they don't know how to communicate with parents. Well, it's very easily. I know some schools already are required to give parents the information in regards to their teacher and what certification they have, if they are certified, yes or no, as well as their education and how well prepared they are to teach their students. Because of course, we all want to treat our students equally, and we all want to give the students the best education that we can as possible. The next one would be timeliness. Adults should make contact soon after a problem has been identified, so a timely solution can be found. Waiting too long can create a new problem possibility through the frustration of those involved. Next one will be consistency and frequency. Parents want frequent, ongoing feedback about how their children are performing with homework, their classwork, really anything that surrounds assessment, and of course, grading policies and so forth. We just want to make sure the students do get that consistency and frequency, especially straight to their parents. The next point would be a follow through. Now, the follow through, it just involves parents and teachers that each wants to see that the other will actually do what they say that they will do. Meaning that if a parent comes in wanting a solution to how to help at home, teachers same as well. How can they help their child as a parent? The parent can give them some feedback in regards to their positive attitude at home, or if they're acting up. A parent and a teacher can communicate always. So it's important to follow through with any situation given. And the last one would be clarity and usefulness of communication. This involves parents and teachers should have the information they need to help students in a form, the language that makes sense to them. That being said, we do live in the Rio Grande Valley where Hispanic culture does dominate this population. We are going to have a lot of English language learners, Spanish speaking only students, and as well as bilingual students. But the most important part is that we effectively communicate with these parents regardless if they're English speaking or not. Now, bilingual forms will be great assistance, as well as giving the parents an equal opportunity to come in and be aware of their students, of their child's education. I'm sorry. Now, this brings me up to my next slide, which talks about communication strategies. Now, when we talk about communication strategies, it is the establishment of effective school-home communication that has grown more complex as society has changed. The great diversity among families mean that it is not possible to rely on a single method of communication that will reach all homes with a given message. Going back to what I just said in regards to those parents that don't speak English, that only speak one language, that isn't reliable to all give information in one language, being English. Now, to those Spanish-speaking parents, again, we must provide a real convenient way in order to communicate with them, for them to communicate with us, vice versa. You know what I mean? And it is essential that a variety of strategies adapts to the needs of particular families and their schedules be incorporated into an overall plan. Some strategies to consider include, I don't know if you can see the bullet points, but we have right here, we have parent newsletters, annual open houses, curriculum nights, home visits, phone calls, annual grandparents or special persons days, which I know this school involves their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts, their family members. They always have special days, which we really do appreciate our schools to involve everyone in the family to be in. Also, annual field days, website for the school, and of course workshops for parents, which like is this one. Now, good two-way communication is an important topic. That is because it is necessary for students' success. The more parents and teachers share relevant information with each other about a student, the better equipped both will be to help that student achieve academically. As well as this, it includes parent conferences, parent-teacher organizations, weekly or monthly folders that student work is sent home in order for the parents to review, sign, comment, really anything that they want to provide feedback for. Phone calls, as well as email or school website, which it's all involved on these points as well. But as mentioned, it is important to communicate in a convenient way for them and be open to them, to make them feel comfortable that they can always go to you, the student can always go to you, most importantly. Now, our next slide will be phone calls. As mentioned, one of the bullet points was phone calls and a way to communicate with parents. When you start making that phone call, a new teacher as well as a veteran teacher, really anyone, we do understand that it might be a little intimidating to make that first phone call, but it's important to prepare for it, to be ready for it, because it's something very important to create with that parent in order for them to feel positive about your teaching style and also their child's education as well as the school. Now, the parents are not accustomed to hearing unsolicited positive comments from teachers about their children, especially in a phone call from the school. So, when you do make these phone calls, be prepared to hear some surprising, pleasantly surprised comments. Like it's always important to communicate with them, make them feel at home, make them feel like they can always come to you for any information about their child. Now, as to phone guidelines, before making a call, it is important to write down the reasons why you are calling. Now, you don't want to create a tone of suspense, of a negativity, of any negative comments you have about the child. You always want to bring the positive about it. Now, us as future educators, we're always told and taught that first and foremost, bring up a positive comment about the child and build from there, and then tell them where they have room to improve. There's a list right here that are guidelines to how you can prepare. I'm sorry. Uh, and basically, like I said, when a phone call from school conveys good news, the atmosphere between home and school improves, and that's what we want overall for the atmosphere of the school, the teacher, educators, and the parent as well as the student. It's difficult to make the first call, as I said, but with this list, it will help you prepare for sure. Now let me go over this list real quickly. Number 1, introduce yourself. Number 2, tell the parents what their child is studying. What subject are you teaching their child, whether it be math, reading, science, and so forth. Invite the parents to an open house and or other school functions. Comment on their child's progress. Again, comment on a positive progress, that's something that they are doing right, that they should feel that they are excelling in, that makes them different from all the other students. Number 5, inform them on their child's achievements. And 6, inform them of their child's strengths or share an anecdote. Now from there, as I said, build on from the reason why you're communicating. Of course, not every phone call you make is going to be surrounding something negative about the child, but when you are in the position to making a phone call about behavior issues or not doing their academic work, it's always important to bring that up last where they can improve, where the parent can help in the end at home. Our next slide is a video. It's from a TED Talks, information video. Now, this parent who lives in the Chicago area, she is talking about her 3-year-old who is barely entering preschool, and she receives a letter on one of the first days. Now, on this letter, she is to include anything that the teacher should know about the child regarding their personality, their ways at home, how they learn. And I found it really convenient to show. I'm only going to show a couple minutes because I know it was a timed video. But let me just play it real quick, that way you can see.
Page to advocate for resources. So my 3-year-old, the dance party guy, well, he just started preschool this year, and his teacher gave us a survey to fill out at home to bring back. She wanted to learn more about my son. She asked questions about his personality. She asked questions about the way that he learns. And for me, when I was completing the survey, I thought about, well, how does he learn? And what is his personality? And how is he going to be in this new learning environment? So it did 2 things for me. It made me think about how I was going to be able to reinforce what was happening in school at home. But it also made me think of his personality and how he was going to be now that he was going to be entering into the school system. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to have to volunteer at school because my 3-year-old's got a really big personality, and I feel really sorry for his preschool teacher. But I really appreciated how she used this medium where she didn't have to stop and talk to me, but she sent something home and I was able to send back. And then when we do have an opportunity to talk, we can touch bases about those things that she's expecting from me and the things that I'm expecting from her. Now, my daughter's first grade teacher at open house that year, she only had us for 15 minutes. You all know open house is not very long. And what she did, she organized the presentation in a way that she really explored her teaching philosophy with us. She talked about the strategies that she used and why she was using them. She also talked about the expectations, and then she even gave us some little bits of advice about how to reinforce what was going to be happening in the first grade so that we could take it home and also reinforce so that our child would do better in the classroom that school year. But that year, we were going through a lot with testing in Chicago public schools, and she had an honest conversation with us about what those tests were going to tell us about our student and what they weren't. And then she was also honest about how she needed help because all of these new tests were really taking away from the time in the classroom where she should be teaching. And she asked if we could be parent volunteers. And it was that honest conversation that she was having with us that made me really think about what was happening in Chicago public schools from a different perspective. And from there, a lot of us in that classroom were able to be advocates around what was going on in testing that school year. So those are just two personal examples about how teachers were able to reach out to me, the busy mother, and be able to connect with me about my child's learning. So this is what it looks like. It looks like respect. It looks like meeting parents where they're at. It looks like not stigmatizing parents. So now I want to take you to the neighborhood that I work in, West Humboldt Park. It's a predominantly low-income.
Okay, I'm sorry. I cut the video short. She just goes on talking about her community and how things that teachers do to get involved into that same community which they are teaching to just get a more glimpse of where the students come from. And it's most importantly that we do that here in the Valley. Now we are all one city basically. The Rio Grande Valley, we are all one city. We all come from the same environment. So it's important for us to relate, which I personally feel more comfortable teaching in the city where I grew up in, where I can relate to the student. It's basically the same thing with another child. Now, I'm not saying don't explore other job opportunities, but no, I feel like I would be best at in a student school where I was once them, not too long ago. And as I mentioned, as she mentioned herself, it is important meeting them halfway to accommodating to what the how the parents' lives and students are. Next one would be parent, student, and teacher benefits. Just giving it here straight up, we do have benefits for all. The education system, the parents at home, the students themselves, as well as the teachers. They all get a benefit from positive parent-teacher communication. Parents-wise, they will receive ideas from school on how to help and support their child or children. They learn more about the school's academic program and how it works. They become more confident about the value of their school involvement, as well as they develop a greater appreciation for the important role they play in their child's education. As for the students, it raises their academic achievement. It increases the motivation for learning, as well as improved behavior, more regular attendance, and a more positive attitude about homework and school in general. Now, this relationship with this parent and the student is vital. If a parent is involved with their education, the child would feel more secure. They feel like they have a reason to study. They have a reason to go to school if their parent is encouraging them to do their work, to attend school regularly. Now, it is very important for this. That is why this workshop is for parents as well, not only just teachers. And as to the teacher benefits, it frees the teachers to focus more on the task of teaching children. It also creates that teachers learn more about the students' needs and at home environment. As mentioned, every student is differently. Every student at home environment is different. But as far as the valley, it should be some similarities, but we cannot assume that. We must create an accommodation, modifications for all students and parents. And lastly, it is a more positive view of teachers equals improved teachers' moral. Um, it's very easy, it's very feasible to be teaching without a target on your back, with that feeling that a parent's going to show up to your door one day complaining, yelling. And it's important to communicate with these parents effectively in order to avoid any confrontations, any negativity. We want a positive environment for our child first and foremost. As for my closure, this is the last slide, of course. I included one more video. It's from an old time show. I found it very funny. That's why I included it, just for a little closure slide. And it's basically talking about a teacher communicating with the parent and sending them home because she felt like that was the best decision to make. And of course, it comes up with a follow up phone call where it doesn't really go too good. Let me go ahead and play that video.
Excuse you for what?
I burped. All right, Tommy, you're excused. Now go on upstairs and take little Susan's laundry.
Susan, well, what's the matter with Susan?
She's got a cold. She's in bed. Caught it coming home from school. They gave her a flower for her eyes, and she didn't want to crush it, so she didn't button up her coat.
What is it, sore throat or what?
Cold. The doctor says it's
The doctor, was the doctor here?
Yes, I called him right away. Said it's nothing to
Is
worry
she
about.
running a temperature? What is it?
Just a teensy one. 99.6 should be all right.
Go ahead.
Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Bailey. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Welch. I'm sure she'll be all right. The doctor said that she ought to be out of bed in time to have her Christmas dinner.
Susan's teacher?
Yes.
Hello. Hello, Mrs. Welch. Well, it's George Bailey. I'm Susan's father. Say, what kind of a teacher are you anyway? What do you mean sending her home like that, half naked? You realize she'll probably end up with pneumonia on account of you? Is this the sort of thing we pay taxes for? To have teachers like you, stupid, silly, careless people that send our kids home without any clothes on? You know, maybe my kids aren't the best dressed kids, and maybe they don't have any decent clothes. Oh, that's stupid.
Hello, Mrs. Welch. I want to apologize. Hello? Hello? She's hung up.
I'll hang her up.
To end this presentation, I got a known fact, as well as the video, but it's after clear studies, it shows that schools that communicate bad news about student performance more often than recognizing students' excellence will discourage parent involvement by making parents feel that they cannot effectively help their children. As mentioned countlessly over the video, we want to focus on the positive reinforcements that the students do show in the classroom. Not only that, but since this class EDSL surrounded more Spanish-speaking students or non-English speaking students, I have also come into recognition that those parents that do not speak English feel less motivated to attend things that wouldn't allow them to attend meetings or workshops. Would include that they're not open to transportation in the evenings. They don't have someone to care and provide for the children at home. They feel embarrassed not being able to speak English. They feel like they don't have the necessary language to communicate properly with the teachers over a phone call, or maybe they can't afford paying their phone. It's very simple reasons that we need to take into consideration. But overall, I feel this presentation will not only help parents, but also teachers, as well as the whole school system, in order to communicate properly. And this concludes my presentation.